Hey everyone, Wontonton here, back to bring you another exciting tournament match, and this time we have the first tournament of OP2, and in this case it's actually the finals of the first OP2 at our local game store here, featuring Whitebeard and Red Green Law. He won the high roll here, and he decided to go second because Whitebeards typically do want to go second, just because you start taking life one turn later, and on top of that, you get an extra card draw at the beginning. If you guys weren't aware, Whitebeard is a pretty interesting character. I think he's pretty cool at least. He has 6 life, and he has 6,000 base power. But at the end of each of his turns, he does automatically take 1 life. I know for myself personally, and a lot of other people I've talked to, a lot of them do want to try playing Whitebeard. He offers you a different style of play, and he just seems like a generally fun leader to use. And there's the first OP2 card we see here, that's Bartolomeo. That's just a 2-cost blocker, with the option to pump him up to a 5,000 body if you choose to. Unfortunately, I didn't have anything in my hand to play on turn 3, so I just decided to just take a swing, maybe get some chip damage in, or burn a card or 2 in his hand. And here's Whitebeard Pirates, the new event card. It's just a 1-cost searcher, and he manages to find a Moby Dick, which is the new stage card, which really lets Whitebeard shine. Whitebeard is often going to find himself at 1 or less life, and so Moby Dick is going to be activated fairly soon, and that's what makes his deck really shine and really a monster to play against. I dropped down the Hawkins, hoping that it'll be enough to contest anything that he decides to play, but he does run Squared, who on top of being a 5,000 body for 3, also lets you just minus 4,000 power to one of your opponent's characters, and he managed to Seaquake it away, which was already a pretty big setback at this point in the game. And normally Squared's drawback would be bad on any other leader, but because Whitebeard kind of wants to get to that point where Moby Dick activates, it's not even that big of a drawback for him. Sometimes it can be seen as a plus because it's an accelerant to get to that 1 life point. Here I'm dropping the bodies, just trying to fish for something to play. And with Whitebeard, because of how he inflicts damage to himself, you do kind of just want to clear his board, just wall up, protect your life as much as possible, trying to finish him off once he hits that 0 life. Unfortunately, other than these blockers, I didn't really have the counters in my hand to protect my life. And at 6,000 power, it makes it really awkward to defend him, because I just need a base 2,000 counter just to prevent him from swinging without any Dawn attached to him. And one interesting thing is, because he does inflict damage onto himself each turn, and because he has 6,000 power, making it a little bit harder to defend, I find that the games against Whitebeard tend to go pretty quick. Like, it's only been a few minutes and we're already down to 2-2, and it's gonna be 1-1 very soon. And here he's hesitating on attacking with Squared. Normally on playing other decks, you're probably just gonna go for it, but he was debating on whether he wanted to protect the Squared by leaving him active. And here's Marco. One of the keys to this deck, he is such a strong blocker that just keeps coming back. It's just so hard to get rid of him. Please don't mind the sudden speeding up of the video. It was a pretty close match. We're both at 1-1, and I had a lot of options, especially because I'm playing live, a lot of options to think through, and so I just decided to speed up the game, because otherwise we'd be sitting here for like the next 3 minutes just watching me fiddle with my cards. Finally decided to go for Neko and rest the blocker, hoping to maybe get some damage in to the Whitebeard, or maybe get him to use up a little bit more cards in his hand, because he was having a pretty big hand, which is another good thing about taking life from your life pool at the end of each turn. It means you always kind of maintain a decent hand size, maintain some card advantage. But looking back now, I think the correct play may have been to just not try to invest too much in attack, and because he's gonna take that life anyways at the end of his next turn. So I probably should have just shored up my defenses a little bit better, maybe set up for a stronger play next turn. And that's one of the things I find is pretty cool about posting videos on YouTube, sharing with you guys, is it gives me a time to just review the video too. Really lets me analyze what's going on and how I can play better next time. And here I'm just doing law things, just shambling around. I made a slight error here. In case you guys weren't aware, I do have, when I use the leader law's ability and I swap a card from the field back for a card in my hand, it does have to be opposite colors. So that's why the Bonnie wouldn't work. I already had my 5-drop Luffy in hand, so I was trying to fish for Zoro, just so it can help me try to finish him off next turn. Unfortunately, I believe I whiffed, and so the only thing I could take was Brook, which is not super helpful here, because Moby Dick pretty much just nullifies Brook as a counter. The other alternative, which I was debating heavily on at this point, was to drop the 5-drop Luffy here, take a quick chip shot at his face, and then just try to protect him as much as I can, just to develop him this turn, which allows me to hit harder with him next turn when he is down to no life. And I also have the other 5-cost law, the one that lets you reactive one of your characters, so it would have given me 2 shots with Luffy. But this is exactly what I was afraid of. He dropped squared and then vista'd my law, which is exactly what he would have just done to Luffy if Luffy was on the board. And I was afraid of something like that or Jet Pistol, and because I only run the one Luffy, I didn't really want to take the risk, which in this case did pay off. But that was another route that probably would have been better if he didn't have the removal in his hand. And here, without the blockers, and because of Moby Dick and all of his characters being just such a high power, it was pretty difficult to defend. It was just like an onslaught of attacks here, and I was pretty much dead next turn, because it's not like I had a big hand with a lot of counters or anything, a lot of events. Here I try my best to give my Luffy the best shot at swinging and ending it there. Just trying to use as little Dawn as possible to maximize the amount of Dawn I can put on him. And Luffy goes for the win here, but as you can see in his hand, he has so many counters plus a radical beam, and there was no shot of this going through. And just with so much power on the board here, I only have 1 blocker, 1 life, small hand. It was pretty unlikely that I was going to be able to defend this. Here he's just counting up the Dawn, just making sure he gets the optimal numbers, just to make sure he gets the right amount of attacks in. and just like that, he was able to take home first at our first OP2 tournament. Congratulations to my opponent, he played it very well. And funny thing is, thinking back on the game, and while I was playing the game, it felt very close, a very intense match. But after reviewing this match, I don't know how true that is actually. I'm not sure how close this game actually was. I feel like the Whitebeard was actually in control for most of the game. And I don't know if I really had any shot of finishing him off there at the end. And I think because of Whitebeard's ability of taking life at the end of his turn, it makes games feel a lot closer than they actually are. And that's it for me. Thanks for watching, everyone. You guys know the drill. If you guys like this type of content, please like the video. Consider subscribing to the channel as well. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.